Hi, I'm Bob Hunter from Wood Magazine. I'm in my home shop here, and I've got a new miter gauge from Rockler that I'm going to test out. And when I got this, it's got a T-slot washer on the end of the bar, which is standard for a lot of miter gauges. On mine that I've been using, I had taken the washer off and didn't use it. So as a consequence, when I built my outfeed table, I didn't need to worry about it. But now, when I put this into the miter slot, and when I try to push it through a cut, the T-washer is now hitting on my slots that I had routed before in my outfeed table. So what I need to do is, I don't really want to widen the whole slot again, so I'm going to undercut that just to allow some clearance for that T-slot washer. I'll show you how we're going to do that. So to route this slot, undercut this slot, what I've got is a T-slotting bit that I got from Rockler. It's a 5/8 inch diameter cutter on a 1/2 inch shank bit, and it's made to do a T-slot, which in this case is exactly what we need, but it's made for something if you're doing some kind of a slat wall system or anything like that, or routing an auxiliary fence for a router table or something like that. To put anything that put T-slot bolts in also works for the T-slot on this miter gauge. So I've got this bit chucked in there, and I want to set that up to just undercut that slot. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to set the bit depth. So what I want to do is loosen up my depth stop, and I want to hit this so it just touches the bottom. Let go of my plunge lock, and then I want to, with the depth stop sitting on the turret, I want to lock that in place. So now that gives me a consistent depth so that when I route, I'm not routing the slot any deeper. Okay, now I'm going to set my bit, I need to know the clearance from the bit to the edge of my sub base, because I'm going to use a straight edge to route against to keep it in a perfectly straight line, since I don't have a bearing to guide the bit. So what I want to do is take a combination square, put it against my sub base, and then just slide the rule up against the shank of the bit and tighten it. Okay, and what that's going to give me is that much of a cut, so about 1/8 of an inch deep cut, which is perfect for what we need. Okay, so this is a straight edge that I've got now that I'm going to route with. So I'm going to run my router against that straight edge so that I can go straight in line. So what I want to do now is take this and set that using my combination square. I can set that depth. Now, since this is just an outfeed table and it's a plywood top, it doesn't matter. I'm going to screw into it to hold this down. So I just got a couple of screw holes. Okay. All I need to do is to be able to just hold that in place. If you've got a way to clamp it, that'll work good too. Double face tape could also work. Anything so that that doesn't move. So now, since my outfeed table is secured to my table saw, I want to make sure that I don't route into this cast iron top. So when I get down here to the end, if I route into that, obviously it'll wreck my bit. So I'm going to use a little mag jig here to use as a stop to where I want, and that'll use as a point. So I put that in place, and now when I route, I hit that, and that gives me a stopping point, and it won't move because it's got such a strong magnet. Okay, now let's route the slot. When you get to the end, it's very important to kill the router, shut it off, let it come to a stop before you lift up, because if you lift up while it's spinning, you'll chuck a little hole right through there. So just let it stop, pull it out, and then you're ready to go. So that's one side now. All we got to do is the same process on the other, and we'll be done. Okay, now come around here on this side. And now, because I didn't route right up against the cast iron, I've got a little nib right here in the corners that I need to get rid of so that the washer will move through there. So I'm just going to do that with a wood chisel. All right, now let's take a look and see what we've got. Okay, now that we've got the slot cleared, let's see how it does. And I've got a smooth glide all the way through. Now I'll never need to go full depth here and get the miter gauge off the table saw top. Usually won't go any farther than past the blade, but I've got to be able to get at least part of that bar and the washer into the outfeed slot. So now I'm good to go. Whether I use the slot washer or not, I've got it ready. I can always use that with any miter gauge or jig or sled, and we're good to go.